Okay, so we're going to check this out. Ossium in the Schlieffen says he, I guess, got nailed by CVs, so we're going to see what happens. Something about it was like within the first 5 minutes, give or take. Let's go ahead and get the information going.
All forces, capture that area. Enemy force detected.
Use priority sector. Priority sector, you look at the planes, you hit 0. Why is that important? Priority sector could have done 50% more plane damage than what you did. If you're not sure what that is, there are 9 fighters. I'm really tired, so I'm gonna make up a number here and just say they have 2,000 health each. That's 18,000 damage. 3.5% of current health is... what was that? 300-ish? Yeah, so for the low price of hitting a button, you do 300 to 350. No, it's gotta be more than that. It's more than that. It's 35, it's like 30% of a plane. It's about 600. 600, something like that, ish. Yeah, it's 600. And then also the other stuff that you were throwing would have been slightly higher. So instead of dealing 782 damage, you would have been able to deal basically double that. Just heads up, priority sector is actually important. People wanted manual AA. Manual AA was added in the form of priority sector. It's extremely basic, but I mean, it is absolutely useful in what it does. Okay, so at this point, we can already see a Hakuryu is coming out with torpedo planes. Hakuryu will probably get to you by the time you are here, in which case, if he wants to, he can come after you. You're with a repub. Repub's going to be pretty significant, but let's look at what the other options are right now. Hakuryu's done some pre-dropping, so he's likely going to be going in on hard targets, although really at this point, you are open. He could use a heal to come through here without losing too much, if anything. Come through, drop, and then try to manipulate between you and the repub to come back in, strike you a second time. And with this many planes, probably doesn't get a third drop. But that would still be 24,000 damage to you, give or take. So looking at this is quite packed and unlikely to be the torp target. You are likely to be the torp target, so be aware of that. Either A, it means you need to start slowing down to let the repub catch back up, in which case he might be able to strike across one way, but he won't be as easy striking across the other if the repub passes you. He won't have access to strike you again, so it kind of spreads the damage around. Plus it allows the close range A to get a little closer. You could also turn north if you wanted to, and then turn south after he leaves, or I don't know. But at this point, it's a little committed, so it's a little tough. Pre-drops. Okay, that was the second pre-drop. So you're spotted, and we can see he is coming for you. Again, we already see like this is a hard target. This is 3 ships on top of each other. Yes, there are battleships, but at that range, Smol can juke some, Des Moines can juke some. It's unlikely they're just going to get shreked off the face of the earth from Kurfürst guns. So, without like significant gun threat, they're not locked in place against the torpedoes. You are the obvious target. Okay, so here is where you want to use your priority sector. Why? Because against, this is 8 planes, 8 Hakuryu planes. That's probably 16 to 18,000. It's roughly 600 off the jump. Then it's going to be an addition of 35% climbing. You want to use it as soon as your guns start to make the noise. Why? Because there's a ramp up period of about 4 to 5 seconds, which means as he's going through the long range AA, which is the sucky AA, you've now ramped up, so when he hits the mid-range, he's actually taking, more damage, 35% more. Is this the difference between life and death? No, probably because he's running a heal right now, because he's got a Smolensk shooting, maybe a Des Moines shooting, plus you shooting. So, while it's not damage that's quote-unquote effective, because it'd be healed through, it's still good practice, and it forces the heal... It forces as much damage in as possible, because the heal doesn't necessarily erase all incoming damage, so you could technically still chisel through, especially with burst damage coming off of the priority sector, bursting through a heal and cutting down a plane. And with Hakuryu, even single planes are a notable threat because the torps are actually quite strong. There we go. So, a little late on the priority sector. It's 2 torps, probably going to hit for about 12. 16. And cuts back around for the second. So, we see the torps were coming. You're making a mad dash for an island. But the question is to do what? What is going to happen with this island that suddenly makes everything better? I mean, do you want to brawl double battleship and Worcester? I mean, I realize the Schlieffen is not, you know, hyper powerful, super armored or whatever, but I don't know exactly what pushing this at full speed is going to do. But you're going to get struck again. That's going to be another 16. Why? Because you needed additional AA. Shima was not interested in backing up to help at all. Technically, his priority sector could have mattered, and the Repub is too far away. He's giving you long-range AA at best, maybe some flak. So, thunk thunk, gonna get hit for another, looks like 15k.
Requesting fire on the designated target.
Alright, so we can already see what the next is, which is gonna be bombs. Once again, we look at what are the options going on right now. It's not gonna AP bomb a Shimakaze. It's not gonna AP... Well, he could AP bomb the Des Moines, but he probably doesn't know that it's split off. And going over here, having seen the Des Moines and the Smolensk and the Ohio, this is likely just he's written it off. So he struck you, coming in, looking to do the thing again. What do you need to do? 2 things. 1, when you are running away from somebody, if you're running at somebody, you meet very quickly. If you're running away from somebody, it takes a long time for the other person to catch up. So if you decide, I'm in a Schlieffen, I want to be close. However, I'm actively under threat right now. You need to back up. So you're turning, good, you know, get ready to move out, kite out, etc. And use that ability to drag out the engagement window for your AA to keep him, you know, instead of taking, what, 5 kilometers, 5.2 kilometers to get from here to here, it's going to end up taking like 7 or 8 for him to catch up. You can try to drag it out. Bonus points if you can drag it out close to the Republic. Although that's quite a turn. Now, okay. In this case, you just stopped. You know this dude's coming for you. Right now, you are fairly isolated. You've got a Republic close to you, sure, but you are fairly isolated. When this guy's coming in on this side, he's touching maybe some Repub flak and long range, which is like 100 damage. 100 damage. 100 damage. It's not going to be a ton. You should still be in survival mode right now. The good news is, look at how you're angling. Now you can't necessarily over angle to the Yamato. That's going to be a rough time. Although you could, you know, swing out a bit if you wanted to. But because he's got to ride up behind you to try to get the length of your ship, he is actually going to get close to the medium and close range AA of the Republic. So we saw that he already pre-dropped, so that's 3 planes gone. He's got, I'm just double checking that this is right. Yeah, so he pre-dropped off 3, I'm quite sure. He's lost 1 plane thus far, which I guess was to you. There's the Yamato shells, and you are hard turning, which is cool. You get nipped. So ideally we were going full speed in reverse, because this is still going to be a tough take. I mean, you can't just YOLO this. Granted, their Yamato and Kurfürst bailed, which is a little weird. I would not have expected that. I would have at least expected the Kurfürst to go forward, but maybe they were scared of the DD, although he would have had Worcester radar. So, right. So at this point, you've taken torp damage, you've taken citadel damage. Did I see more bombs? Hakuryu's probably coming out with torps because you don't see anything. Torpedoes have less detection, which means he's probably riding down this line and is going to come in to try to intercept you. So in this case, you saw the bombs before. You wanted to be moving at speed. Why? You wanted to drag out the engagement. Having the Repub there meant, you know, are you going to get struck? Yes, probably. But can you get it? Can you convert that into an extra plane kill? Can you convert that into an extra 2 plane kills? Can you convert it into an extra 3 plane kills while they're chasing coming up after you? Now in this instance, you have the Repub between you and the Hakuryu, which means the least time is cut off. CVs want to operate on least time. A lot of CVs, high pressure. They want to play pressure. They want to play damage. So if he's going to lease time, he's not going to want to lease time over the repub. He's going to have to come around. You can see which way he breaks and position accordingly. If you do go far enough south and isolate away from the repub, then you're simply going to get harassed. Sucks that your CV hasn't been over here trying to do anything, but it's a Nakimov's pressure CV. This dude's lease time into you, he's lease time into him. So it is what it is. But do note that if you keep going south like this, he can just hook around. Okay, so he's going after the Shimikaze. It might actually be that he leaves you alone at this point, because I think you were saying, you know, that you got nailed in the first 5 minutes. So I'm going to speed this up. Okay, so you've disengaged, which is fine, especially because there's no DD over here. A is not under threat at all. The Shimikaze's kind of doing something stupid because he's pushing a Wooster, gonna get pinched by a Yamato, and the CV knows where he is now, so he should be leaving. But now that the CV knows there's a present threat, CV will be on this. And yeah, so you've changed your shots over to trying to get some damage in here, which you've done significant, and working on the Kerr first. And again, you're still keeping the repub between, and now being so far back. If we look at the AA going on now, you have the Republic's medium range AA that's like this. You have the Des Moines medium range AA that's like this, and you have a fighter. So he could try to slip through to come down to you, but it's unlikely. In order to get to you, he would have to fly all the way around the repub to come in and harass you, or try to nip under this side of the fighter to come over and strike you, which is just unlikely, because there's other threats that are more present against his team and further up along the map. So at this point, you're extremely safe, because especially this fighter stops any kind of central push. It just kind of blocks it right there. We'll keep moving. He torped the Des Moines. That seemed to be a oh shit play. I think maybe he tripped across the Des Moines and panicked. Okay, so here, he's going around your CV's fighter to try to cut in on the Des Moines. This is actually good, because the sharp turn is going to delay the accuracy of the Hakuryu, which makes it less likely he gets a triple sit. Maybe a single, possibly a double, but the fact is he's going to have to turn and hover while he's aiming, which means he's going to sit longer in the AA and lose more planes doing it. Yeah, so he lost about 6 planes there. He hurt the Des Moines, so at least that worked out in his favor. Alright, the Repub versus Yamato, rockin'. CV clocks the Des Moines because he's low, sure. You're brawling with a Yoshino, cool.
Enemy cruiser destroyed. Victory is in sight.
And okay, CV has come back to you. So at this point, Kaba's not really a threat, but the CV is. You're turning in, which means you will get struck. You should probably be radioing for assistance at this point, saying, CV, I need help, need planes. But unfortunately, he's not seeming to give a shit. But good jukes on the return strike, and good job on the heal. However, he comes back. Good turning, good angling. Yeah, single Citadel there, nothing special. Not gonna get the return strike. Why? Because you were running away and drug out the engagement.
Problem solved, sir.
And then that's a win for your team. So just being mindful of there's stuff going on, and recognizing when you are in threat, when you are not in threat. In the very, very beginning, you were the most at threat. Why? Because there were torpedoes. He could torp the DD. If he finds the DD, hey, look, this thing's being capped. We could go over there and I could throw torps at him. But with no guns, he's not going to waste time torping the DD. That's just not going to happen. And there's you. You're in front of the Repub. You don't really have... I mean, I don't think the Schlieffen is known for having amazing AA or anything. And being that she's kind of more like a battle cruiser or something, she doesn't take punishment very well. So, yeah, He went for it, got some pretty significant damage in there. One, recognize your situation, could have just slowed down. Literally just kind of gone 3/4 speed instead of full speed for like 20 or 30 seconds, let the repub catch up. In which case he would have struck you once and then struck the repub on the other side, because you could have manipulated your position to block your broadside with a friendly ship. In terms of the bombs, you needed to not stop. You needed to keep going. You saw your ability to kill planes. And based on the line the planes would have come in on to try to get your tail, they also would have been, the repub would have been burning them down as well. Still might have gotten struck, but you could have killed an extra maybe 3 planes doing it. 2 to 3 planes, whatever. And then recognize when you're safe. When you had the repub in front of you, the Des Moines, and then the fighter, CV has no interest in even potentially dealing with you. The amount of just going all the way around to try to do that is just, it's just not going to happen. It's not a thing. Recognizing that the Des Moines ended up getting crippled, CV's going to go after that, doesn't go after you. There's freedom in these windows. It's just like if you're in a DD and you bait out a radar, the radar's down for 2 minutes. Cool. Or it's down for whatever amount of time, you know, the reload is. And then you do it again. And then you do it again. Like, you use the windows. Danger window, safety window. Danger window, safety window. If you can read the map and see what the CV is looking at, then you know when to brace up and go, CV's probably looking for me. Look for the planes. It's that type of plane. How do I counterplay that? You do it. If you do that once or twice, the CV recognizes you're a hard target. Usually they fuck off. There are most targets of opportunity are going to be, most players don't know what to do against the CV. So most players, if you are having trouble with one in a specific, this dude knows what he's doing sort of way, they are more likely to try to find something they can interact with, rather than spend the extra time it is to try to get this particularly tough nut to crack. Because that's just what it is. If you can wipe a piece off the board, then all the better. Anyway, hope this was helpful.